Hey, how's it going? What? Shakespeare? Nah, I don't know anything about Shakespeare. I'm only into sports trivia. Fun fact, the New York Jets were originally named the Titans. Well, I'll see you later. Has anybody seen my identical twin? The one who's always talking about sports trivia? The Comedy of Errors is set in the ancient city of Ephesus, where, according to law, merchants from Syracuse are forbidden to enter. Merchants like this guy right here. This is Egeon, who's being imprisoned by the Duke of Ephesus. He explains that he's only in Ephesus to try and find his missing family. He originally had a pair of sons, who also owned a pair of slaves. But during his travels, he was separated from his wife and one of his children. He's only in Ephesus to try and find his lost family. The Duke is moved by this story, but rules are rules. Egeon is left with a day to pay his fine or face execution. We then meet Egeon's son, Antipholus of Syracuse. He snuck into the city as well, but Antipholus and Egeon don't know that the other is there. We also meet Antipholus' slave, Dromio. The play never really addresses the fact that they're slaves, so we're just gonna gloss over that too. Antipholus sends Dromio off with some money to reserve a room at the local inn. But who's that? It looks like Dromio. But didn't he just leave? Sir, your wife is expecting you for dinner. Okay, what happened to the money I just gave you? I'm not sure what you mean. Antipholus of Syracuse finds Dromio of Syracuse, where they're found by a woman claiming to be Antipholus' wife. Antipholus decides to follow her home for dinner, and leaves Dromio at the door. But wait, who's this? It looks like Antipholus, with another guy who looks like Dromio. Let me in, please. Nope, I'm not supposed to. But it's my house. How am I supposed to know? I don't work here. We all understand what's happening here, right? These two are the brothers of these two. Confusingly though, their names are Antipholus and Dromio of Ephesus, so I guess the parents both thought that the children they had were named Antipholus and Dromio. I feel like their parents should have been able to tell which was which. Now this presents an interesting challenge for productions of this play. It needs to be understandable why the characters keep mistaking these pairs for one another, but it also needs to be obvious to the audience which one is which. I think that they should be similar, but with one glaring difference between them. If you manage to get similar looking actors, make sure you implement some choice, whether it's a costuming, vocal, or physical distinction, that makes it clear which Dromio and Antipholus is which. The comedy comes from the characters' confusion, not the audience's, so make sure you're careful to keep them from losing track. Anyway, Antipholus of Syracuse is dining with Adriana, Antipholus of Ephesus' wife. But he finds himself crushing hard for her sister, Luciana. She doesn't hate it, but she feels uncomfortable because she thinks he's her brother-in-law. Which he is, technically, but neither of them know that yet. Antipholus of Syracuse then receives a gold chain, which Antipholus of Ephesus is arrested for refusing to pay for, seeing how he never received it. The men from Syracuse plan to flee the city, thinking it to be haunted, while the men from Ephesus flee from Adriana, who thinks that they are possessed. The chase ends with all the characters in a monastery, where the abbess appears and reveals the pairs of twins to one another. And who is she? Well, she's the mother of both of the Antipholuses. The day's confusion is all cleared up, the twins reunite, and the Duke pardons Egeon because ending a comedy with an execution would be a real downer. From my perspective, Shakespeare's comedies don't get as much attention as they deserve. If you ask a random person to name one, odds are they're going to say A Midsummer Night's Dream. But the rest of his comedies are worth checking out, and I highly recommend exploring the Comedy of Errors. The plan for the foreseeable future is to put out one of these every Thursday, so be sure to tune in next week where we'll be sure to ham it up. Hamlet. It's Hamlet. I'm doing Hamlet next Thursday. Be sure to come back for it.